If you like Bond, you'll love April on CHCH.
Who are you?
My name's Bond.
Bond.
James Bond.
You carry a 00 number. It means you're licensed to kill.
Bond must die. But I've only just arrived.
You like tertiaries, don't you?
I thought I'd find you in good hands.
Good evening, Mr. Bond.
You expect me to talk? I expect you to die. You ever got the feeling somebody doesn't like you?
Don't miss the best of Bond on CHCH. If you like Bond, you'll love April on CHCH. Tonight at 8:30, the original Casino Royale. This is a comedy, a parody of Ian Fleming's original book in the series. It's not like the Eon-produced Bonds that we know and love. In this, David Niven plays 007, coming out of retirement because secret agents from all over the world are disappearing. So he has everybody disguise themselves as James Bond to confuse the enemy.
From now on, all remaining agents and trainees will be known as James Bond 007, including the girl.
Well, that'd be rather confusing, sir.
Exactly.
You may be wondering why Sean Connery never did Casino Royale. It was the makers of What's New Pussycat, the comedy back in the 60s, that actually had the rights for Ian Fleming's first book in the series, so they came up with this comedy. That's why we see Woody Allen in it, playing James Bond's bumbling nephew, Jimmy Bond.
You realize this means an angry letter to the Times. So long, suckers!
Casino Royale, the original from 1967. Don't miss the best of Bond on CHCH tonight at 8:30. If you like Bond, you'll love April on CHCH tonight at 8:30. It's Dr.No. It's the first of the franchise. It set the standard with the music, the girls, the larger-than-life villains. It also introduced Sean Connery as 007 for the first time, and it's the first time we heard this.
Bond. James Bond.
So again, this is the first of the official Eon-produced Bond movies, produced by Albert Cubby Broccoli and Canadian producer Harry Saltzman out of Montreal. He went to England because he had bought the film rights to James Bond, which Cubby Broccoli desperately wanted, so they formed this partnership and created all these Bond movies with Sean Connery. They kicked off the franchise, one of the most successful in movie history. Now, there's another Canadian connection to tonight's movie, the evil Dr.No, played by Montreal's Joseph Wiseman.
Unfortunately, I misjudged you. You are just a stupid policeman.
You won't get away with it this time, Dr.No. The Americans are prepared for any trouble.
I never fail, Mr. Bond.
Dr.No, tonight's installment in the best of Bond, only on CHCH at 8:30. If you like Bond, you'll love April on CHCH tonight at 8:30 from Russia with Love. This is the second turn for Sean Connery as 007, and it's the first time we see the late Desmond Llewellyn as Quartermaster Major Boothroyd, a.k.a. Q, and the first of a long line of gadgets handed over to Bond that he'll find handy tonight.
An ordinary black leather case with 20 rounds of ammunition here and here. On the side here, flat throwing knife. Press that button there. Now she comes. Then if you pull out these straps, inside are 50 gold sovereigns, 25 in either side.
Good luck, 007.
Thank you, sir.
So Bond uses this excuse of getting the 50 gold sovereigns out of the case for a bribe in order to fight Red Grant. It's a classic scene on board the Orient Express. Cue the next Q gadget, a collapsible sniper rifle. Bond shoots attacker in the arm. Attacker drops grenade in helicopter.
I'd say one of their aircraft is missing.
From Russia with Love, the best of Bond, only on CHCH, tonight at 8:30. If you like Bond, you'll love the next couple of weeks on CHCH. Tonight at 8:30, Goldfinger. This one's a classic. This launched Bond Mania, which wasn't quite as big as Beatlemania, and that left a bad taste in 007's mouth.
My dear girl, there are some things that just aren't done, such as drinking Dom Perignon 53 above a temperature of 38 degrees Fahrenheit. That's as bad as listening to the Beatles without earmuffs.
Auric Goldfinger is one of the best villains in Bond history, but tonight's movie also introduces the first of a long line of minions in Bond history. Way before Jaws, there was Oddjob. Odd Job's going to want to get that hat grounded. Now back to Goldfinger. The character was played by the late German actor Gert Frobes, who couldn't speak a word of English. They actually dubbed over his lines. Check this out.
How'd you do?
How do you do?
Okay, his lines might be dubbed, but Goldfinger still gets the best villain line in Bond history. The laser beam scene when it's headed towards 007 and we're about to get a double 007.
Do you expect me to talk?
No, Mr. Bond, I expect you to die. There is nothing you can talk to me about that I don't already know.
The movie Goldfinger also introduces the Aston Martin DB5, fully loaded.
Windscreen bulletproof. You see this arm here? Inside your defense mechanism control. Now, if you take the top off, you'll find a little red button. Whatever you do, don't touch it.
We hope you catch all of our Bond movies this month, but you have to catch tonight's classic, Goldfinger, tonight on CHCH at 8:30. If you like Bond, you'll love April on CHCH. Tonight at 8:30, Thunderball. This is the fourth in the franchise from 1965. It introduces us to the evil Largo, a.k.a. Spectre number 2. It also introduces us to some pretty cool gadgets. This is real. These jetpacks, we thought we'd have them in our garages 10 years after this movie came out, but it was developed by Bell Aerosystems, powered by hydrogen peroxide. It took 2 stunt guys to play Bond. Both insisted on wearing helmets. 45 years later, I'm still waiting for my jetpack, although we do have GPS from the last Bond movie. Also, safety issues in this movie with Largo's pool. They filled this pool with real sharks. They had a plexiglass partition in the pool to separate Connery from the sharks. That's right, they couldn't use stunt guys for this scene, and one of the sharks actually broke through the barrier. That look on Connery's face is the real thing from an outtake. They decided to use it. Shock no lash. Thunderball, the best of Bond, tonight at 8:30 on CHCH. If you like Bond, you'll love April on CHCH tonight at 8:30 on Her Majesty's Secret Service. During the filming of the last installment of the franchise, You Only Live Twice, Sean Connery announced he was quitting. He didn't want to be typecast. That left producer Cubby Broccoli and his Canadian partner Harry Saltzman to have to come up with a new Bond. They eventually did. After much deliberations, they landed on George Lazenby, an Australian model who actually went to great lengths to land the role.
Bob's your uncle, I got his suit. And then I went to his barber at the Dorchester Hotel. And I said, give me a haircut like Sean Connery. And meanwhile, Cubby Broccoli's in the chair right behind me. Cubby said, this guy'd make a good James Bond, but he looks like a successful businessman.
That didn't immediately seal the deal. This is arguably the most important casting job in movie history. There was a bunch of meetings and screen tests to come, but eventually, George Lazenby was able to say this.
My name's Bond. James Bond. Miss,
Don't move, Mr. Bond.
This never happened to the other fella.
This is a different Bond tonight in another way. This one settles down and marries Teresa Di Vincenzo, or Tracy.
Anyway, you have given me a wedding present. The best I could have. The future.
But Spectre's Irma Bunt has other plans. Won't ruin it for you, but we already know this is Lazenby's only stint as 007, the movie tank. Mind you, Bond fans have developed some affection for it over the years on TV. And this may not be George's fault. First of all, 007 married, settling down. That doesn't work. Also, it's his introduction as Bond, and he has to spend a good chunk of the movie with 007 in disguise as a nerdy professor in a kilt. So that debate rages on, but it certainly deserves to be part of the best of Bond. On Her Majesty's Secret Service, tonight at 8:30 on CHCH. If you like